Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the program agenda. I'm your host, Cito Beltran. Thanking you for joining us this morning, the 22nd of September. It's a Thursday, 2022. Thank you for being with us, especially subscribers of Cignal TV and viewers of One News here on channels 8 and 250. And of course, those of you who always watch Agenda and our friends who keep telling me, oh, I watch your show. I like this interview, that interview. Thank you very much po. Nakakataba po ng puso. Wag lang po ng tiyan. Mahirap magpapayat nowadays. Okay? Anyway, thank you for being with us. And let's get on with the day. We have a very interesting interview today. Survivor siya, negosyante siya, a person who, in spite of life's challenges, has managed to be very productive and very proactive. I won't tell you anything further than that so that you will watch and listen later. But first, let's go to the Daily Starter. And it comes from controversial comedian Dave Chappelle. And but his statement is not so controversial. It's quite inspiring. You can't change the world, but you can make a small corner nice. Okay, and I would like to repeat that. You can't change the world, but you can make a small corner nice. And just let me tell a story. Back in 1986, when I returned from the United States and I returned to our family home in UP Village, I noticed this was, coming out of martial law, etc., and all that, economic problems. I noticed that the front part of our house, family home, was bare. Talagang wala man lang halaman, ilang piraso. So I started fixing the front garden, yung tinatawag nga natin, garden sa harap ng bahay. And I just fixed it up, planted some grass, put in some plants, because I came from the United States where real estate is reflected by your frontage. Kumbaga, ano yung harap ng bahay mo reflects yung halaga ng bahay mo at ng lupa mo. The frontage was reflective of per square meter or per square foot in the US value. So I just fixed the front, I painted the wall, etc. And every afternoon, it became my ritual to water the garden. And then I noticed yung kapitbahay medyo tuyo yung tanim. So I would water. And then next thing I knew, I was also watering the other neighbor, etc. It didn't take long before the maids started noticing it. And they would come out and they would water their front and they would fix the front of the homes, etc. And the homeowners started fixing the fences. Wasn't a lot of effort, but it gave people something to do. And before you know it, there was visible transformation. Mas gumanda, there were greenery, etc. And I guess that, there's truth in what Dave Chappelle said. We can't change the world, but we can make a small part beautiful. And whether it's in your office, in your home, or even in your body, okay? Nowadays, many of the kids look Korean in the Philippines. Pero, there's nothing wrong in making ourselves feel good, making our homes feel nice. And we should remember these things because it makes a difference. Okay, let's now go to the front page of the Philippine Star. Heavy gut, medyo seryoso. Okay, the front page headline, Philippines seeks membership in the United Nations Security Council. Okay, wag po kayo mataranta because our President Bongbong Marcos urged the United Nations member states to support the Philippines' bid for a non-permanent seat in the Security Council, citing the country's experience in Mindanao and partnerships it forged with regional stakeholders. Yung request naman is for 2027 to year 2028. It's 7 years or 6 years from now. So it's quite a long way off. But BBM is urging support and saying, we have gone through so much in the South. We have forged peace, etc. Kanya lang, it was also pointed out in the article that as much as we may have found peace in the South, it was also under his father, President Ferdinand Marcos, that we saw the birth of separatist groups in the South. So kumbaga, the pot calling the kettle black or something, whatever. Anyway, the top of the news of the front page, Remulla, Chinese officials meet on Pogo workers' repatriation. Okay, DOJ Secretary Crispin Boying Remulla, will be meeting today with with the ambassador of China to discuss the repatriation of an estimated 40,000 Chinese Pogo workers, both legal and illegal, because 130 or 170 plus companies have shut down, nalugi na, okay? And so they've become jobless and they are walking, wag naman walking dead, pero walking lost and walking broke here in Metro Manila, so much so that they have resorted to criminal activities. Now, the Chinese embassy, for their part, are only so happy that this has ended because what we see is Pogo in the Philippines. What we do not realize is that gambling is related to state corruption or corruption among state officials in China. So it becomes a headache of the Chinese government. So there you go. So hopefully we can get rid of them as soon as possible. Okay. Palace, meanwhile, is screening possible replacements for the little president or the executive secretary position vacated by Attorney Vic Rodriguez. And from the looks of it, this election process, to my mind, is going to be based only on two options. First option is to get a highly efficient, effective executive secretary with political clout or an executive secretary who will be ministerial in function. Kumbaga, yung trabaho niya, paperwork. No politics. Paperwork lang siya, processing the paperwork. And while Vic Rodriguez, if he gets assigned as a presidential chief of staff, handles the daily political scenario. Okay. Then Senate okays barangay SK poll postponement. Ayan po. Even the Senate has joined the bandwagon in a move to postpone the election, barangay and SK election. And the claim of Senator Amy Marcos is that it will buy them time to correct flaws in the system of our barangays and particularly in the sangguniang kabataan, ika nga, to fix this situation. There is a new LPA scene east of Central Luzon as the habagat weekends. Medyo kita nyo, umaaraw na. Ako, nagbaba na ako ng aking nilabhan. Huwag niyo akong hahamunin sa paglalaba kamay-kamay. Kaya ko kayong sabayan. Babad, kuskus, banlaw. Okay? For those of you who think we anchors can't even do our own laundry, you may be in for a surprise. Anyway, that LPA is not going to affect the Philippines. It's far out there and mukhang hindi naman daw magiging bagyo. The Commission on Human Rights, meanwhile, the chairperson is calling for the protection of martial law history and truth, okay? If we didn't do it in the last 50 years, my opinion is just forget about it. Because after a few more years with this digitalization of our world, information is all going to be relative. Bad news, the peso. Well, bad news, good news, depends on who. If you have dollars, it's good news. If you only have pesos, it's bad news, especially if you need dollars to import goods or pay for foreign materials. Peso plummets to new record low of 58 to 1. So what is new? We've been there. We survived it. We will survive this as well, okay? As long as our elected officials and banking officials realize that at the end of the day, we must be able to swim across this challenge. Okay, last but not the least, BBM pushes global unity on food security, economic revival. Okay, speaking again at the United Nations, BBM, of course, has pushed forward that we, the governments of the world, the citizens of the world, need to stand as one to find solutions and solve these problems, because independently, we're not going to fare well. That's essentially the front page news of the Philippine Star today. And the time is 8:11. Let us now go to our interview for today. Before we roll out the Betamax, okay, allow me to say, many of you, I'm sure, has heard of or knows of someone who has had breast cancer, who is, suffering through or going through the experience or the difficulty of having breast cancer, or has even lost someone from breast cancer. And we tend to treat it as like reading the news, unless it hits home. The problem with breast cancer, ladies and gentlemen, is that when someone in your family and in my family, someone has, hindi po malayo, kapatid ko, my own sister had breast cancer. Aside from the shock and the pain that you experience in association and love for someone going through it, little do we realize we only talk about the disease, but we do not think of how it is impacted or how it impacts the, kumbaga, yung collateral damage in emotion, in finances. My family, in support of our sister, we went through the entire thing. She was narrating what she was going through, her procedures, sending images in the hospital, etc. So if people want to talk about it, or you notice that there are certain people who are very vocal about breast cancer, because it gets really personal. It became very personal for me. So much so that when my sister shaved her head because her hair was falling out, I really wanted to shave my head in solidarity with her. Except my wife said, I don't think you look good bald on TV, and I don't think your sister's going to appreciate it. She hates being bald already. To see your ugly face with no hair is not going to make her feel better. So I didn't do it, but it goes that far that you want to connect with a person. So without further ado, let's introduce our next guest. Hindi po ito drama. Ito po ay surviving, doing well, struggling, but still fighting and slugging it out. Let's roll out the Betamax for our next guest, our only guest.
Nikoy de Guzman is the president of ICanServe Foundation, an advocacy group aimed at early detection of breast cancer. She has been part of the foundation since 2002. As certified Bikram yoga teacher, de Guzman is also studio director of Bikram Yoga, Quezon City.
Good morning, Nikoy. Welcome to the program.
Morning, Cito. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure. My pleasure.
Well, like I already said in the intro, I have a small piece of experience relative to what hell you went through, and that's why I can relate. But when someone sent out an email to me, I have to confess when I said okay, cancer as a NGO, blah blah blah. I told the team, guys, please verify. Kasi maraming mga sumusulat, nagre-request ng ganyan. And then you find out that, they're a self-employment agency. Meaning, they put up these groups and then it turns out that they're not really helping cancer patients or cancer survivors or aren't even victims of cancer. But in your case, wow, two-time winner ka na pala.
Yes po. 2 times na po. Had breast cancer twice. First one was in 2002 and the next one was 2015.
Okay, now, from what I read, your grandmother had breast cancer, your mother had breast cancer, and you only discovered you had breast cancer when your son accidentally kicked your boob and or sorry na lang no ang lingwahe ko kung minsan buwang eh okay your breast and you like ouch sakit niyan and then uy may bukol weird because just the other day someone asked me for money to go for an ultrasound and check up because she found a lump in her breast. Alam mo naman ako, takbuhan ako ng mga ganyan. Anyway, ano naman, ako mga mataba lang daw. but in your case, didn't you? Sorry, I'm not trying to be critical, but knowing your grandmother and mom had it, one would think you had gone for screening.
Because, sir, I was kind of young at that time. So, wala pa po akong formal, kumbaga, na screening. I would go to my mom's doctor and yun lang po yung typical na kapa. Hindi po ito yung talagang screening with with machines and everything. Wala po yun. Yung mammogram.
Wala yung mammogram.
Wala po. Yes. And vigilant naman po. It's just that talagang nasa lahi. And mabilis po siyang lumaki eh. Kumbaga, hindi ko na din ho masyadong napansin na meron na pala talagang makakapa na bukol.
Okay. Yeah. Tapos, let me just inject here. Sorry, Nikoy. Let me just inject here, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sure not everybody can afford it, but when my sister had that episode with her breast cancer, one thing we discovered is that there is now a test, a gene test, for genetic predisposition to cancer, breast cancer, ovarian cancer, etc. So pati yung daughter ko sabi, Papa, on my 21st birthday, I want to have the gene test. Sabi ko, patay na naman. Wala na naman akong I have to say goodbye to my TB, etc. But it's important. At least now it's available. Kasi nung panahon mo, teka, sabi mo, bata ka pa eh. Hello, ang bata-bata mo. Ilang taong ka nun
I was, my first bout po, I was 28. And then the next one po was I was like 40 already. So, yeah, medyo relatively young po. Actually, both po 28, 40 because usually medyo mas older pa po yung nagkakaroon ng breast cancer. But yeah, I had mine at 28 po, the first one.
Okay. Now, so it was an accidental discovery. But what about your grandma and your mother? Did they survive the cancer?
Ang grandmother ko po, unfortunately, hindi po nakasurvive. It was a stage 2, pero mabilis pong kumalat. Plus yung treatment po before probably wasn't as good as the treatments we have now. Ang mom ko po, thankfully, nakasurvive po siya. I think I was in grade school, bata pa rin po when she had it. And yeah, I was able to see yung difference po nung sila yung went through this. So yung mom ko po and yung sa akin, malaki na rin ho yung difference kasi nung mga treatments. Yeah.
So you discover you had it. You had a son. How old was your son when that incident happened?
He was only 10 months old po. 10 months.
Okay.
And yun nga po, ganito po yung buhat ko sa kanya, playing with him. Nakik po niya yung breast ko. And lagi ko nga sinasabi, it was so painful. Muntik ko po siyang mabitawan. So, binaba ko po muna. And paghawak ko po ng breast, ayun na po, may bukol na ho akong nakapa.
Okay. And of course, that started the journey. Para kang tinamaan ng bagyo sa bilis ng mga pangyayari, I'm sure.
Yes po. Yeah. I told my mom right away and we went to her doctor, her surgeon. Yun. So yun na rin po yung naging surgeon ko po, Makati Med. And nakakatawa lang actually na doctor ng mom ko, doctor ko po. So it was parang deja vu, not on me, but on sa dad ko po. Kasi parang it was the same lahat eh. Parang nag-rewind lahat, na-replay lahat nung pangyayari with my mom and then sa akin. So ganun po.
Okay, and then but at that time, what were you doing in life? Were you a professional? Kasi based on what I read through here, you have so many roles. You're a businesswoman. You have a family corporation. You are serving as president. You're also the founder of ICanServe, I think, right?
Hindi naman po, but I'm the president now. But I've been with ICanServe for a very long time also.
Okay, so you're the president of ICanServe, and then you have other activities. But when you got the breast cancer, what were you doing professionally?
I was with a family business already. So talagang businesswoman na po ako. I was helping out with a family business, and I was going from one branch of a store to another. So ganun po, looking at operations, finances, yun po ang aking work, professional work.
Yeah, and the second thing I discovered, aside from how difficult it is to deal with cancer, I discovered the financial impact of cancer. Kasi grabe yung mga treatments. Could you just pass through that, the treatments and the costs?
Yeah. In my case po kasi I went through radical mastectomy, which is total removal of the breast. Kasi may ibang klase pa naman po ngayon. May iba po, lumpectomy lang. May iba po na pag masyadong maaga pa, pwedeng wala na lang din. They go through straight to chemo. And then after there's chemotherapy, which is the usual track, kumbaga, when it comes to treatment of breast cancer. And then depending pa po on the cancer, there are those who go through radiation also. Plus, syempre, meron pa rin pong mga maintenance medicines for others. But in my case po, it was just pure chemotherapy. Yeah,
my sister went through something like 21 or 23 treatments. How many did you go through?
My first bout with cancer, it was 6 po. And then ito pong second one, 4 sessions na lang po ito.
Okay, the first one you had radical mastectomy, right?
Yes po.
Okay, but nalusutan pa rin.
Bale, on the other breast na po yung isa. Yung second, it was on the other breast. I was declared, kumbaga, totally well. So it wasn't a metastasis, hindi po siya lumipat. It was just another primary case, kumbaga, of breast cancer.
So hindi to kalat, kumbaga, may tumubong iba.
May tumubo pong iba.
Which happens in numerous cancer cases.
Apo.
Okay, now, so what happened after all of that? Because with my sister, medyo matagal, over 1 year, until she went through the courses. And then I think she now has to go for tests every 6 months. Yes, and after so many years, you only need one annual checkup, etc. Where are you in all of that right now?
Sa ngayon po, hindi po ako nakagraduate sa kumbaga sa every 2 years or whatever. Talagang nag-stick po ako sa every year. Okay? And despite that, from in between the first and the second, I was vigilant already with my checkups every year. Okay? And then So I got myself checked dun sa remaining breast ng October. By January na feel ko of the following year na feel ko na po kaagad yung isa eh. So talagang ganun po siya kabilis. But ngayon after going through everything, balik na lang po ako sa yearly na check-up. Ayun po.
Okay, now are you a single mom?
Yes po, I'm a single mom po. 20 years old na po yung son ko.
Okay, now, so no, I'm just clarifying that kasi baka sabihin ng mga viewers, ito, di mo naman sinali yung husband. Eh, alam nyo, kahit na hindi yung nakasulat, magaling tayo pumick up dyan eh.
Ang galing nga po.
If the person is not in the dialogue, he doesn't exist. Anyway, so going back to this thing, your team reached out to Agenda to talk about ICanServe. I think you're about to have some event or something. And so how did you get to join ICanServe? Because a lot of cancer survivors, aside from, they go through two things. Please confirm this if I'm right, okay? First is the realization, okay, this tells me I could have died this year or last year. So I better start living my life the way I've always wanted to do it. So kumbaga, it drives them to enjoy life. The second is often the case with many is, okay, that really put us in the hole. So they go to work, they find businesses, etc., to recover all the stuff they lost. Because I mean, you know, without going through the details, my sister and my brother-in-law went deep into the hole. We all pitched in, and you know, it hurts family finances. Even the extended family makes sacrifices because money becomes inconsequential when someone's life is at stake. But in your case, how did you find time to join ICanServe pa? Diba? I mean, hello, enjoy your life na and make money.
Yeah, hindi naman po immediate yung pagsali ko. I think sumali po ako, I think mga 3-4 years after. It was just that I knew that nako-compare ko po kasi yung experience ko with my mom eh. During the time of my mom po, wala pong support group. It's not that kulang po ako sa support sa family and all. Malaki po ang support ng family ko. Alam po yan ng nakakarami. It's just that yung someone going through the same thing as you are. Yung pareho po kayo ng nangyayari, ng ganyan. And kasi nung time po ng mom ko, medyo maliit pa po ako noon, sumasama po ako sa kanyang mga treatment. Sa totoo lang ho, medyo eerie yung atmosphere because wala po siyang nakakausap. Alam po nilang lahat na silang nag-aantay doon sa doctor's office. Lahat po sila may cancer. But no one really spoke about it. May pagkatabu. Yun pong
during your mother's time.
Yes po, that was
and tragically, during your time and during my sister's time, of course, malaki yung age gap ninyo ng sister ko. But, you know, during my sister time, I was shocked as a journalist to discover that there is, you have to collect information. Wala pang ready books or, okay, here's the book, read it. Or here's a dossier on your options. Because, you know, like for a woman to have to decide whether she's going to have her breasts removed, we think, survival yan eh, pag-iisipan mo pa yan. Ano lang yan, suso mo lang yan. But it's not that simple, number one. Then the decision to decide, is it going to be partial? Is it going to be radical? Tapos yung tungkol dun sa sinasabi mong chemotherapy, radio, ano yun na?
Radiation.
Radiation. I mean, you know, it's insane. I said, this is 2022 to 2021, and we're still, you know, clutching at straws and talking to. How many doctors did you have to talk to?
Medyo hindi naman po ganun karami. It's just that, yun nga po, marami naman pwedeng pagtanungan ngayon po. And that's what actually ICanServe is for. It's really giving out information po regarding breast cancer para po we can, kumbaga, we can be boss of our bodies more or less. Parang kami po ang makakagawa ng informed decisions. Hindi po kami namimilit ng treatment or whatever, but at least we're out here to give you options if ever. Yun po. And yun po ang hinahanap ko po before na parang like-minded women also for the support, for the information, yung mga simpleng tanungan lang po na, sis, anong kinain mo nung nagkikimo ka? Kasi ang sama ng lasa ng kinakain ko. Yung mga kahit ganung kababaw, kapag tanungan kami sa ICanServe, yung mga, oy, ang ganda ng turban mo, pagkalbo na kami. Saan mo nabili yan? Meron ba niyan dito? Yung mga ganon.
Or when do you decide to shave your head, right? I mean, your hair.
Opo.
Because,
like ako, sinasabi ko sa marami, kesa hintayin mong mahulog, unahan mo na lang. Parang ganon. Hindi masyadong nakaka-depress. That's me though. Yeah.
Okay. Let's go for a quick break, Nikoy. And when we come back, let's talk about ICanServe. Because I think it's good that you answered. Nasagot mo yung why people join foundations or groups such as ICanServe, because there is really a need among victims for answers. And when you're dealing with what you perceive is a death threat on you, the last thing you should be worrying about is trying to understand this disease. It should all be there already in an organized manner. And I suppose that's what ICanServe is all about. We'll go for a quick break. When we come back, please tell us, what exactly does ICanServe do for victims of cancer, and how the public should engage, or why the public should engage with ICanServe. We'll be right back here on Agenda. Welcome back to the program Agenda. And as a background for those of you who are joining us only at this time of the program, our guest is Nikoy de Guzman, president of the ICanServe Foundation. which aims to provide hope and help women with breast cancer. ICanServe Foundation, Inc. was formerly the Information on Breast Cancer and Other Services, which was founded in 1999 by 4 breast cancer survivors led by journalist Cara Magsanok Alikpala. Co-founding ICanServe were Crisan Celdran, Becky Fuentes, and Beth Lasatin. Okay, before we get into the nitty-gritty of ICanServe, Nikoy, what is this CBCs or SEABCs, Southeast Asian Breast Cancer Symposium? Sa inyo ba to?
Yeah, bale po yung Southeast Asia Breast Cancer Symposium. First time pong i-host yan dito sa Philippines. That will be on September 23 to 25.
Tomorrow?
Opo, start na po kami tomorrow po. Yun. And this is an online event, but us organizers and then speakers and moderators and reactors will all be inside the hotel. But this is open to everybody, not just for breast cancer survivors, but also doctors, healthcare workers, even patient advocates. Para po, it's really a big event na talagang holistic po ang dating. Hindi lang po, kasi usually kapag merong mga ganitong events, it's just doctors lang, or patients lang, or just the advocates lang. But this one po, lahat po pinagsama-sama namin sa event na ito. Yun. And our theme po is designing a better future for the global breast cancer community. So,
okay.
Global. So, hindi lang po Pilipinas.
Unfortunately, I don't think I was able to get how people can join the website or Zoom link. Meron ka na ba yun?
Yes po. We just need to register at the website SEABCS or CBACS PH. Nandun po ang registration, and once again, it's free po.
Okay. If we could put that on our crawler, Gab, I think we would be helping a lot of our viewers. Because, ladies and gentlemen, this should not just be for people with cancer. Yeah, I myself, as a journalist, I have discovered that knowing more about the problem, the disease, and the treatment, and the challenges experienced by cancer patients and their families makes me more competent to discuss the matter. Now, for you as family members, at least, God forbid it happens in your family, you will be able to somehow take a defensive position or a fighting stance, particularly finances. So going back to ICanServe, Nikoy, okay, what are the primary services? Sorry, no pun intended. What are the primary services of ICanServe?
Well, a lot of sharing of information po, which can be found in our website. A lot of kumbaga new ground on breast cancer care and treatment. Yun. And then we also have community-based programs called our flagship program called Ating Dibdibin, wherein we really go to the communities and work with the patient navigators and healthcare workers to help women do early detection. Because ICanServe is big po on early detection. We really believe that early detection is the best protection, and early detection saves lives. So, yun po ang mga ina-advocate ng ICanServe.
And I suppose one of the things that we should really advocate and encourage is for women, even men, if you get breast cancer, don't hide it. Don't keep it to yourself. I respect your privacy, pero alam nyo, Nikoy, in our small place in Lipa, Batangas, when word got out that my sister had breast cancer, and she would go there because she needed a place to rest, where it's pollution free, and they would see her without her hair, etc. It made breast cancer real because there was a face to it. And in this year alone, I've had 2 women come to me asking for assistance. Yung mga anak ng mga nandoon sa paligid namin, because they felt a lump in their breast.
Mhm.
And I made the connection. I said, what would have happened if my sister did not get this and they did not witness the repercussions or the outcome of breast cancer? So kahapon lang yung isa nag-text sa akin na ano na siya, na ultrasound na siya, ano lang naman daw, mass lang na
Benign
ano yun?
siguro.
Yung ano
Benign?
yun, subcutaneous or something or taba. Anyway, okay, so you go to barangays, you help people, but meron na ba, Nikoy, meron na bang here's the book? Because one would think, you know, if someone came up with a book, bigla tuloy ako nag-iisip sulat ko na kaya yung libro, no? Parang here's the book. What are you dealing with? What will be the steps? What are the options? What are the choices? How do you arrive at the choices? Parang we won't influence you, pero option A, option B, option C, di ba?
Very timely question po, sir, kasi ito pong conference namin, we will be launching a patient's manual po.
Ano ilo-launch nyo?
A patient's manual po. Patient's manual, wherein talagang may step by step kung ano yung dapat gawin, even what you might go through when you're undergoing treatment. Everything po nandoon na, where to get help, how to join ICanServe, everything. Kumbaga from diagnosis up to kumbaga taking care of yourself after the treatment, nandun po lahat. Patient's manual. We'll be launching this on the last day of the conference, and this will be for free. Downloadable lang po siya. So, yeah, yan po ang sagot sa inyong ano. Because meron ako kaming book dati. It was a real book talaga. Kaya ang tagal na po nun. And ang dami na nga pong nangyari when it comes to patient care ngayon. So, we came up with this book na talagang pinag-isipan, talagang well-written. And this can be accessed for free po. Yeah, patient's manual po.
Okay, in terms of linkages, I saw that the SCABC's event, you've got a huge network of supporters and participants. But regarding this manual, meron ba kayong partnerships with the ILG, with DOH to print this and distribute it in the barangays? Kasi, alam mo, we take these things for granted, pero government can save so much more money because of early detection and awareness.
Yeah. Sa ngayon, wala pa kaming talagang partnership with the national government when it comes to this, and sa DOH we will take yung pong sinabi ninyo as a suggestion. Yun. And we really want nga po na ma-spread yung knowledge about this book po. Para po na tutulungan naman especially yung mga newly diagnosed. Yes.
Okay, what about the financial aspect of it? No, hindi yung pera-pera, but may napansin lang ako. I noticed something with patients in general. We always assume that the best treatment is in the biggest private hospitals with etc. And of course, ikaw may kaya, so you go to a private hospital. And I keep telling people, yung doktor doon sa hospital na yon, nandiyan dyan sa government hospital. Depende na lang sa araw. It just depends on the day you go. The same doctor will be in that public hospital. Do we have a program that directs people to public hospitals? Where are the best public hospitals? Who are the best doctors? Kasi dito sa Pilipinas, puro reputation medication eh. Oh, sikat si ganito, expert si gano. Sabi ko, hello, yung kaklase niya mas magaling sa kanya, nandoon sa RMC.
Sa ngayon po, like what I said, marami naman po talagang info. It's just really putting it together. And when it comes to the knowledge po ng mga doctors natin, magagaling na rin po ang mga doctors dito. And you're right po, no? It's getting access to that information. And that's what ICanServe is for. We have this huge network nga po of doctors and hospitals na na handa naman ding tumulong. It's just that, yun nga, malaki din, madami din po and malaki and maraming nangangailangan. So, pati kami, medyo nahihirapan pong i-put together yun. But we continue. Wala lang pong mag-give up. Pero ganun lang po yun. And then if they do contact us, we can easily give them to, or, refer them to a good doctor. And meron din po naman kaming mga supporters na handa ring tumulong. And that's what ICanServe is for also. Yung talagang,
that was going to be my question, next question, Nikoy. Kasi, first, how big is ICanServe?
Yeah. When it comes to talagang survivors lang po, we rely on our FB group po, and nasa a bit like hundreds lang din po kami. Yan. So, and then
hundreds lang kayo, FB
400 plus, yeah.
And then how many women in the Philippines get breast cancer every year?
Sa totoo lang, hindi ko na masabi, pero ang dami-dami din po. Kaya
guesstimate mo ilang libo?
Sorry sir, pero I don't wanna give numbers dahil na hindi ako sigurado, but it's really a lot. Ako po, ang basic na sinasabi ko lang po parate is ICanServe gets a new member every week. So, yun po ang parang every week meron kaming bagong member na diagnose ng breast cancer. So, parang yun lang po sa isang buwan.
I mean, if you just get one person a week, that's 52 members a year. I mean, you have 52 members a year.
Yeah, ganun po nga ang nangyayari.
Okay, so it's a very small group. How do you manage to become effective given the challenges of this disease?
Yeah, like what I said po, meron nga po kaming community-based programs, and that's where we work with patient navigators and the local government para po magawa namin yung aming screening and our kumbaga breast cancer 101 seminar. Doon po kami nakakapag-spread ng info. So, yun po, it's not really yung talagang malaking organization na talagang napakaayos po ng lahat ng logistics and everything, but we really just do as much as we can. Kaya po natouch ako doon sa sinabi niyo po nung kaninang morning sa start po ng program natin na you can't change the world but you can make a nice corner. So ganun lang po kami, corners and pockets lang po talaga.
Okay, we'll go for a break again, Nikoy, and when we come back, let's continue with the discussion on how ICanServe, and especially, baka makalimutan ko, ikaw na nga mag-umpisa, yung supporters ninyo. Kasi, you have the organizer, but an organization cannot grow without supporters. Okay, we'll go for a quick break, and when we come back, we'll discover or get to know more about ICanServe here on Agenda. Okay, you're back here on Agenda, and I'm your host, Cito Beltran, thanking you for staying with us. And our guest for today is the president of the ICanServe Foundation, an organization that supports women with breast cancer through information and patient management, direction, etc. Nikoy de Guzman. Nikoy, before the break, I was asking, who are the supporters? Because supporters, they never get recognition. They don't get the recognition they deserve. Who are the supporters of ICanServe?
We do have various supporters, mostly po from the private sector. For sure, ayaw na po rin po nila magpabanggit kung sino sila. But we are very thankful for these private individuals.
You should tell them, Nikoy, and I am saying this here on the program. We should not be embarrassed, hesitate, or feel awkward to be recognized for what we do. Because the recognition is not for the person, but for the act. And, that is the work of the devil in some cases where, he makes us act with false humility or suppresses the goodness or the act of kindness of people. Kumbaga, sinong gagaya kung walang nakokopya, di ba? And we must all become somebody has to model the activity. And anyway, so you have supporters, private supporters. What about corporate?
Sa corporate po, marami rin po naman those that are connected to the mga pharmas po. Like, yung mga supporters po namin, itong CBACs, ang dami pong mga pharmas and medical facilities din po na nag-support sa amin. And then, ang maganda po, pag October, which is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, I head po the collaborations, and these are small companies po, trickled all over the Philippines who would like to support us via information drives din po, and even products po na tinatay up nila sa amin, wherein a small portion of their sales would go to ICanServe. So,
what is the truth there, Nikoy? Because as a journalist, I often hear about people criticizing pharmas, or saying that pharmaceutical companies don't do enough for cancer patients, etc. And yet here you're ICanServe, and you're acknowledging the support given by pharmaceutical companies. Is there a good relationship between the patient groups such as ICanServe and pharmas na hindi nyo sila mapipintasan, or you acknowledge them?
Medyo touchy po talaga, sir. Frankly speaking, medyo touchy po ang topic na ito. But because we know that it's really the cost of the meds that ang laki-laking factor when it comes to treatment, and hindi nakakapagpatid yung iba because of this. What they do with us is we do have a tie-up wherein these meds are given at not really at a discounted cost, wherein yan po ang nabibigay namin na tulong sa mga members po or dun sa mga humihingi po ng tulong sa ICanServe.
Okay, so until the government includes those medicines in their list of priorities and procurement, it will all be private sector undertaking. Now, what about poor patients? What does ICanServe, and sa dami kong gustong tanong, what about poor patients? How do they find treatment? And meron bang equality of treatment, whether you're rich or poor, or kung poor ka, sorry na lang, magdasal ka na?
No po, dito po lalo na dito sa Pilipinas, yan po ang aming yan ang aming talagang ina-advocate sa ICanServe, na may mga malalapitan naman po at may mga talagang handang tumulong sa mga nadadiagnose ng may cancer. And in the part po of ICanServe is we try to bridge that gap. Yun pong handang tumulong at yun pong nangangailangan ng tulong. Kumbaga, tinatry po namin talagang i-connect yun. So we have a pool of, kumbaga, of our supporters, and inaayos po namin kung paano mabibigay po yung needed na medicines, if ever, kahit po na medicines lang. Kasi usually naman po ang doctor sasabihin talaga, lalo na pag poor ang patient, yung gamot na lang. And bahala na sila doon sa pag-administer. So yun po ang tinatry na i-provide ng ICanServe talaga din.
Well, yeah. Now, since you guys have put up the manual, you're going to launch it tomorrow. May I make a humble, crazy suggestion?
Sige po.
Kasi ilang beses ko na nakita ito, talagang kumukulo dugo ko eh. When there's a patient or there's a problem, people always talk about GoFundMe. Eh, ang problema pala with GoFundMe, it is a US-based thingamajiggy, or at least that's the impression I got the last time we tried to help someone. And so they retain a certain portion, it's coming in. Sabi ko, hindi ba pwede magtayo ng help fund me dito, itong mga Pilipino, na it is pure and simple. Here's a patient, whether it is 5 pesos, 10 pesos, or 10,000 pesos, you can help fund the treatment of a cancer patient or any patient for that matter. Siguro, kasi bata-bata ka, alam mo hindi ako techie, pero kung kakayanin ko lang, I would create that kind of an app, a help fund me app, purely voluntary, zero profit, non-profit, para lang yung gusto tumulong, ipupusta ko lang sa sabong to, pusta ko na dyan. Diba? Something like that, Nikoy.
Thank you po for that suggestion. Medyo parang step 1 na po kami doon. There is an app already that malalaman din po yan sa ito pong CBAX conference namin. Meron na pong app, and meron na rin pong, nandun po lahat din ng, ng information kung saan po pwedeng kumuha ng tulong pinansyal. So meron na rin po niyan in the pink app. Nandun din po yan sa aming conference. Yun.
Okay, last...
Nagsa-start na po. So
okay.
Yung mga suggestions nyo nandun na. Yeah.
Masasapok ako dito eh. Sabi ng nanay ko, wag kayong nagsasabi ng ha! Anyway, Nikoy, so who will be speaking at the CBAX conference?
Yeah, marami po kaming na-invite na speakers, not just from the Philippines but more so abroad. In fact po, ang aming parang opening or keynote speaker sa start po ay head po ng ang prinsesa po ng Jordan. Okay, si Princess Dina Mirad, wherein kaya po siya napunta sa advokasya na to is because ang anak po din niya ay nagkaroon ng cancer. Yun. And then aside from her, marami din po kami. We have doctors po from WHO also. Meron po kami. And then meron din pong speakers from Global Focus on Cancer. So madami po. And then here po from the Philippines, we even have a speaker on social media, kung paano po unleash ang power ng social media when it comes to looking for treatment.
Okay.
And
last question, do you have champions? Because it really makes a difference when you have a local champion who has dedicated herself. I mean, there was at the time, medyo hindi ko na matandaan yung pangalan, artista who was a local champion for breast cancer early detection because she got breast cancer. But right now, who is the ambassador?
When it comes to ambassador, wala naman po kaming ambassador. Meron po kaming spokesperson, pero hindi naman po, kumbaga masasabi naming kumbaga talagang championing within, hindi po yung parang siya lang. Parang we would like to say na kaming lahat. Pero yung talaga pong main is, malamang po, kilala niyo po, ang aming spokesperson, si Miss Bibet Ortesa. Yan,
Bibet, of course.
Yan, siya po ang aming
pinapagalitan ako nun eh.
Ay,
lagi akong sinasabon nun eh. Feeling na boss ko siya eh. Anyway, okay. Yeah. Nikoy, sige, magsumbong ka. Para tawagan naman ako, matandaan yung buhay pa ako. Okay, anyway, Nikoy, thank you very much. And we try to make light of a really very serious very difficult situation or a challenge, which is breast cancer. But I'm glad that there is an organization like ICanServe. And ladies and gentlemen, Nikoy is the president of that. Thank you very much for your work. And may the Lord continue to bless you with good health, Nikoy.
Thank you very much po. Thank you very much.
Okay, that's Nikoy de Guzman, president of ICanServe. And you can join their conference online tomorrow. Just go to SEABC. Gabriel, ilabas mo na yung kanilang website or kanilang link, SEABC. Anyway, let's now go to our blessing for the week. Here on agenda, it comes from the book of James, chapter 1, verses 6 to 7. But let him ask in faith with no doubting. For the one who doubts is like a wave of the sea that is driven and tossed by the wind. For that person must not suppose that he will receive anything from the Lord. Have faith, have courage, and believe in the promise of the Lord, who is God Almighty. I'm Cito Beltran, thanking you for joining us this morning. God bless all of you. Please keep it here on One News.